Hello, Fiedelbogen here. To my fellow workers in the vineyard, worldwide, greetings. The title of today's talk is The Root of the Present Evil in the Death of the Social Contract. Yes, I would like to say a few things about the social contract and why we haven't got one. Briefly then, the anti-male nature of the state voids any social contract binding upon men. In consequence, feminism has no ground of moral authority. As a man, you presently have zero political obligation toward women as a group, and your transaction with any individual woman issues only from a moral law within yourself. I will now enlarge upon these profoundly consequential points. Consider this question. By what objective law or principle are you even obligated to be a moral person and treat other people decently in the first place? The answer is that there is zero law or principle which compels you to be anything but a cutthroat. None whatsoever. True, there are some clever philosophical arguments to that purpose, but finally, these all come down to some form of instrumentalism based on a hypothetical imperative where people jointly agree to maximize their advantage and minimize their disadvantage so that they can all get along and go on propagating the species. This ideal condition of life is what we may loosely term a social contract. Now, that is all good and dandy until evil Superman comes along. Evil Superman, you see, doesn't care a fig about your social contract because, being a Superman, he can do whatever the hell he wants. And being evil, he has no scruples about doing whatever the hell he wants, which includes rolling you into the tarmac if you try to stop him. To say that is not nice, evil Superman, is not a philosophical argument that cuts any ice at all. For evil Superman is more of a philosopher than you are when he bounces back with, "So what?" You can even admonish evil Superman that God will punish him, but you cannot force him to either believe this or to give a snap about it if he did. "Why should I care?" he might very logically rejoin. And you cannot answer his why. You will never answer it because he will always flip it back at you. You can never prove that morality has any other value than an instrumental value inside of a particular social contract or meta-contract. And the idea of so-called conscience is pure delusion wrapped around mere artifact. It is not independently real. In the end, the only thing keeping people morally in line is the deeply implanted conviction that it will benefit them for instrumental reasons to play by the rules. And in theory, evil Superman is always free to smash those rules because he has either the power or the will to do so. Now, any social contract, in other words, any society, can only remain effective if enough people feel that their gains either balance or outweigh their losses. Correctly understood, a social contract is naught but a precarious web of superstition, a magical balance of poise against counterpoise, of give against take, a binding miracle that holds people spellbound by a kind of psychic juggling trick. All in all, a social contract is a structure which an architect or engineer could figuratively understand because, like a physical structure, it needs the right configuration of stress forces in order not to collapse. So, to make a social contract fail and bring about the collapse of its accompanying social order, it is needful only that the amassing of grievance gain a critical threshold among certain social cohorts. Such an accumulation of stress in key sectors will eventually rip the fabric and jeopardize the integrity of the whole structure. Yes, when critical numbers of people within a social order think they are getting a raw deal, it erodes their sense of political obligation toward that social order and puts them in a mind to tear up the social contract and scatter it to the wind. You would say that the spell is broken, that the binding miracle no longer binds them. And when matters reach that stage, it is predictable that freaky consequences will ripple through the social ecology. Understand that evil Superman is not a person, but a primordial force embodied in persons. This primordial force is super because it is superior or superpositioned, meaning above or beyond. Evil Superman is not God. He cannot literally do anything, but can do many things that you cannot or would not do because he is unbound by certain constraints which bind you. He is above or beyond those constraints. Evil Superman is evil because he is not bound by the social contract which configures your morality. He may or may not choose to do anything bad, yet the sheer possibility of this is ever present as a shadow from one moment to the next. So in the end, there is but a whisper of difference between evil Superman and an independent moral contractor. Let us now speak of feminism. Feminism is evil Superwoman. And as an independent moral contractor, feminism has created, in the name of women, an intellectually separatist zone of moral privilege called woman space. And true to form, feminism has plowed its own furrow at cross angles to what others have plowed in this world, obliterating this and plowing it under. Such is the superpositionality of woman space, which pretends to be above and beyond. Feminism, the evil Superwoman, has created woman space in the name of women in order to place women above and beyond. Woman space, as the product of evil Superwoman, is above and beyond moral accountability, and specifically moral accountability toward men. And by that fact alone, it fatally compromises any social contract involving men that you might care to postulate. All of this is interesting enough, I dare say, but it gets better. For evil Superwoman has not only created woman space in the name of women, but furthermore harnessed the instrumentality of state power in the service of woman space. This effectively taints the apparatus of government with moral unaccountability toward men, and so negates the entire state order as a postulated ground of moral authority. By this I mean specifically that if you are a man, you are perfectly right not only to disrespect the state order, but to repudiate the entire social contract which underpins and is underpinned by it. Such has been the course of feminist innovation, to dissolve any social contract binding upon men, and turn every man into an independent moral contractor, particularly in his dealings with women. It is ironic that feminism's effort to collectivify men in the name of a certain politics has ended by radically freeing men as individuals and opening our future horizon to a politics that we can scarcely begin to imagine. But the future is apt to be scary, for the objective course of feminist innovation has resulted in the accumulation of grievance among men to dangerous levels. Worst of all is that so many of these men, especially the young ones, have no idea what is happening. They are aware that they are being shoved into a hole, but they cannot articulate those feelings. They are oblivious to the larger picture. They are politically naive, lacking the needful analysis that would make the operative forces apparent. Consequently, they are stumbling in the dark, in the grip of unbridled emotions, rightly sensing that they ought to be hitting at something, but unaware what the correct target might be. It is a frightful thing for all concerned when evil Superman, as a primordial force untethered from any social contract, embodies himself in the benighted flesh of feral masses. When the binding miracle of the social contract has ceased to bind us, all hell breaks loose until a new contract settles into place. In the interim, independent moral contractors hold sway. They may be evil or otherwise, according as their nature or circumstance inclines them, but they are governed by a moral law within themselves, and their behavior toward the world is governed by instrumentality or by form. So find the ones you can work with and make friends with them. And finally, understand where the true battle line is drawn between feminism and the rest of the world. I, the present writer, know which side I am on, and I hope that you, the present reader, are likewise informed about your own position. Fiedelbogen, out.